Hi, everybody, and welcome to Matrix Live, Season 9, Episode 4. I'm afraid you're stuck with me this week because, I guess it's 6:30 on a Friday. Everybody else has gone home, and I stupidly volunteered when Thibaut asked if anybody wanted to do a Matrix Live. So, this is an old school one where I shall monologue for a little bit about some of the stuff which has been going on this week. An awful lot of the focus, element at least, has been on Element X. We obviously shipped the release on September the 21st called Element X Ignition, which is intended to demonstrate that the Matrix Rust SDK based app is just light years ahead of the old mobile Element apps running on both iOS and Android, and can be usable just about as a daily driver as long as you don't want registration on a server that doesn't yet have OpenID Connect set up on it, and as long as you don't want your encrypted message backup. But since then, a few weeks ago, we have been blitzing away, going and getting the next release ready, which is due at the end of October. We're doing releases every few weeks anyway, but the next big sort of milestone is going to have encrypted backup in it. And one of the reasons it's taken so long to put together is that we've taken the opportunity to fix some of the security quirks which existed in the current setup. So it's actually one of the issues that the Royal Holloway University researchers identified last year, where it turns out that key backups in their asymmetric state, which is the default today, means that an attacker can inject keys into the backup based on just having the public key of that backup, which obviously anybody can. It's a bit of a theoretical attack in that, okay, you can go and inject malicious keys in, but other than trying to basically forge history in your backup, in the end, it's basically a usability question rather than an actual security issue, in that messages restored from backup have to have a little shield, a grey shield next to them, an element saying, hey, we can't trust this message because we can't verify that it actually came from the person who sent it in the first place. Unlike normal messages where you have that guarantee. He's seeing the mouse run across the office. Not at all distracting. So, what we've done instead is implement MSC 4048, which are called authenticated key backups, which is an entirely new backup approach. It's our third iteration on it. It's still asymmetric, which means that in order to write the messages into your key backup, you don't need to permanently have the private key available. However, you do prove that you were the author of those messages in your own backup, at least the ones that you sent yourself in the first place. So this hopefully mitigates that concern, and we'll get rid of those grey shields or the equivalent in Element X. And I believe that the implementation is pretty much done, and we should see it in an Element X release real soon now, meaning that you can actually get at your old messages there. This is, I guess, obviously, like many things, overlapping between the underlying Matrix MSCs and Matrix Rust SDK and Vidozmats, where this is implemented, as well as then the app layer, which is driving it forwards in the form of Element X from the Element side. Other new stuff coming in, actually, on the Element layer, the app layer, is some voice message support. So we've got voice message playback already landed in the developer options. For those who have developer option enabled builds. Recording in the near future too. Yeah, that mouse is going everywhere. At least I'm stuck in my Goldfish Bowl meeting room here. Can't imagine it's going to have a happy ending. Then on Element Cool, we are making good progress in integrating Element Cool into Element X fully as a widget. I believe, in fact, I saw a video last week of the first ever Element Cool fully integrated into Element X between iOS and Element Web, and it is very fun to see the shape of things to come and see that we are finally approaching a point where we can kill off both the legacy one-to-one calling as well as the Jitsi calling and have just one single engine for native matrix VoIP, including end-to-end encryption, including highly scalable group calls. So that will be exciting too. Then we've got pin code and biometric lock. You may be wondering, why on earth are they implementing pin codes and Face ID on Element X before, I don't know, the ability to see when you have unread messages? But the fact is that the roadmap is being slightly influenced by our commitments to some of the paying Element customers who are obviously contributing to Element and in turn to the wider Matrix ecosystem. So we need to do some of the features that they require. Another one is also getting mentions into there. So we're now prettily displaying mentions, again, behind the labs flag. And it's not quite as pretty as it should be, but it will be soon, so that you can have little pills with people's avatars and their names whenever they are mentioned, and it goes red or similar if somebody mentions you by name. What else is coming soon? I think those are the main things which we have on the horizon for the release in a couple of weeks, but it's been pretty fun to see the reaction to Element X. It's often on 5 stars out of 5 on the App Store and the Play Store, despite the big gaps of encrypted history and registration. I think overall it's at 4.6 at the moment because really due to those only 2 issues. So I'm really excited to see what happens when we solve them both. For getting registration working, we're going to need to deploy OpenID Connect by default on, say, matrix.org. And that in turn means hooking it up to the single sign-on social login systems so that you can log in on an OIDC capable client like Element X, not just on a username password account, but also people on Apple or Facebook, GitLab, GitHub, and all the other integrations for login that we have available on matrix.org. Quite when that happens is up for debate, because it is going to completely change the auth system there. And whilst there is some level of backwards compatibility to today's Matrix auth, we want to make sure that all of the Matrix clients in the ecosystem are going to work with the backwards compatibility. And when we tested it with Neko and Fluffy Chat, both of them got a bit confused by at least the current backwards compatible implementations of m.login.password and m.login.sso. So we need to double check that if we put this live on matrix.org, it's not going to break all the existing clients out there. So we're going to have some kind of migratory phase where we get in contact with everybody and say, hello world, on this date we shall turn on OIDC as the auth system for matrix.org. Therefore, please check and fix your clients so that they work with the backwards compatible implementation, or even better, implement the new one. So watch this space as we make that announcement probably in the next few weeks. Although the timeline will be longer, please don't panic. But it's a shame because until then, it's really getting in the way of people being able to play with the new OIDC and Matrix 2.0 stuff to the max. General public service announcement reminder that if you're using Element X and playing with Matrix 2.0 on your own server, then please keep your sliding sync proxy updated, because there are very regular updates and everything will break if you don't, because the API is still in fairly rapid iteration as we improve it. Other stuff coming soon are unread message notifications on Element X. The reason that's missing is that it's surprisingly hard to get it right, as people will have seen with the stuck notifications all over Element Web. And we generally want to make damn sure that we get the unread state calculated reliably and robustly on Element X and get it right once and leave it there forever. Another thing coming is obviously filters, the ability to go and say, just show me my unread messages, my DMs or my rooms, etc. Another thing is thread awareness. So ideally, personally, what I'm hoping for is that we get iMessage style threads where you can just highlight messages for a given thread and all the other messages disappear. And finally, we got to do something with spaces, but we're not sure what we're going to do with spaces. Whilst the feature, in terms of its capability, is great, the actual usability in practice seems to appeal to power users and nobody else. My personal hunch would be that they may end up getting split up and rebranded into things like private favorites, or just favorites perhaps, or I don't know, public communities or private communities. And that would probably cover the three use cases: that people either use them to organize their own rooms, they use them to discover public sets of rooms, or in a workplace or something, they use it to discover a set of rooms which is curated privately. So, I don't know, lots of work to be done there. Probably isn't going to happen for at least a few months. And then goes the mouse again. At least I hope I'm not hallucinating it. I'm stuck alone in an office with a mouse, which may or may not exist. But either way, that is what's on the menu for Element X. Otherwise, I wanted to call out two interesting projects which have been going on. We have MSC 4014, pseudo identifiers, which Devon has been hacking away at over the last couple of months and is making good progress. Actually merged into Dendrite, and this lets you go and replace normal username domain matrix IDs under the hood with public keys. So you basically decouple. You have portable identity and portable accounts, so that under the hood, even though the client-server API stays identical, and even though the matrix clients will work with it without any changes at all, the second that it hits the server promptly takes your matrix ID and converts it into a public key. Now, the next step beyond that is to somehow link those identities back to your end-to-end encrypted identity. And we call these crypto IDs, which very confusingly reads like cryptoids in a chat room, but it's pronounced crypto IDs. And this is being implemented with Matrix REST SDK, predictably enough, such that you can take your master signing key and prove that the user keys that are running around your server are actually owned by you if you want to. Now, this is a key step towards actual account portability, and I believe in the next few weeks we might even see the first inklings of a full client-initiated account portability using this approach. So, I've only been talking about decentralized identity and matrix for 9.5 years now, so it's kind of fun to see it actually materializing, and huge congrats to Devon to doing all of the heavy lifting on it with Keegan and the rest of the peer-to-peer Dendrite team, which is Till. So otherwise, lots of work happening on MIMI, the IETF working group for more instant messaging interoperability. And a few weeks ago, we had a breakthrough in the design team, which is the subset of folks who have been working on really trying to define the IETF drafts that will become the RFC for MIMI. And the design team is made up from us lot at Matrix, people from Wire, from Phoenix, who used to work at Wire on the crypto team, Cisco, Google, Wicker, and I'm probably insulting somebody massively by forgetting that they're involved. But it's basically a set of folks like that. And there are two camps present, two sort of trains of thought, one of which is that MIMI should be entirely hard-coded to MLS, and you should leverage all of MLS's amazing features for tracking room state, for instance, and room policy, and basically all data in the chat gets signed and baked into the MLS tree. Then separately, you've got another camp which reckons that the two should be decoupled. You should have your encryption, which may be MLS, or it might be Megom or double ratchet based stuff, or it might be something beyond MLS. And then separately, you should have a data model that describes the room state and the room policy and the sort of metadata about that room. And if you want, and obviously if you have something like MLS, then yes, you should use that to sign the integrity of the room state, and it's a really nice feature, and it would solve some of the deficits we have in Matrix today. However, you shouldn't be hard-coded to MLS. I think that we have, after a few back and forths, as of last week, or 2 weeks ago now, got agreement on how to proceed, which is basically the latter approach. And you get best of both worlds in that if you have MLS, you get all the goodness there. If you don't have MLS, then you still have the same data model and you have a migration path to move through to it. The next step on that is to actually write an internet draft and consolidate together the various different modules which previously had been written by different people for doing different bits of this. And Travis is currently working away on that. Probably it will end up getting co-edited with Rowan, who's the VP engineering at Wire, and we're hoping that it will basically pull together the best bits of Matrix and the best bits of MIMI DS, which was the sort of core of the alternative proposal that came from the Felix and the Wire team. So watch this space for updates. I mean, it's going to be quite a different beast to Matrix, honestly, in that it's very much geared for interoperability between large service providers for DMA, rather than the sort of more heterogeneous free-for-all that is Matrix. It will not have decentralization by default. Instead, it will be hub-and-spoke model, similar to linearized Matrix or XMPP MUX. Again, because it's a lot simpler to reason about and model. However, my expectation is that Matrix itself will probably evolve, assuming that MIMI is successful, into being a decentralized form of MIMI, and will hopefully have interoperability with it, such that if you want the fancy, full-fat, decentralized, Matrixy flavor, then you would basically use Matrix 3.0. And yes, not only have we already teased the existence of 2.0, we're already talking about 3.0, but hypothetical Matrix 3.0 could be basically a decentralized form of MIMI. And so you get best of both worlds, simple DMA interop, standards-based from IETF for MIMI, and then if you want to start doing state resolution and decentralization and I know perhaps things like portable accounts, then you will get that stuff in on the Matrix side. Who knows? Early days. But it's fun to see some of the impasses now unblocked and progress being made, and there may even be some internet drafts to look at by the end of the month. Right, sorry for the horrible monologue and the maybe hallucinatory rodents plaguing me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for listening, thanks for flying Matrix, and have fun.